Recently, I walked you through my top 3 road running shoes of the year with the super versatile lightweight daily trainer from Hoka, the Max 6, taking my top spot. However, if you've followed the channel for any period of time, you'll know that I'm a trail runner at heart, and that's where I spend most of my time running. So in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at my top 3 trail running shoes of 2024. So let's get into it. Welcome back, folks. Hope you've all had a great start to your week, and thanks for tuning in again. I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure. So just before we get stuck into my top 3 trail running shoes of the year, I just want to say a big thanks to everyone for all your great suggestions when it comes to US trail races after the disappointing news of me not getting into Western states again in 2025. You've all come up with some great ideas. There's some great races there in some stunning locations. So we've got lots to think about, that's for sure. So big thanks for taking the time to comment. It's really appreciated. But back to today's video topic of trail shoes, and it's been quite hard pulling this list together this year compared to previous years where I've had real sort of standout shoes like Merrell's brilliant Agility Peak 5 or Saucony's super comfy original Exodus Ultra. So a lot closer when it comes to the shoes in 2024, and it's been hard to pick out a top 3. We got there in the end, we managed to do it, and in total I've tested out 23 different trail running shoes from brands like Salomon, Nike, Adidas, Saucony, La Sportiva, to mention a few. We even had a new trail running shoe from the British brand Run4Adventure. So it has been a busy year when it comes to shoe reviews, but coming in at number 3 in 2024 is Saucony's Exodus Ultra 3. Now this pick might come as a bit of a surprise to some of you because if I'm honest, it was a surprise to me. Now, it's no secret that I was a massive fan of the original version of this shoe, and I really enjoyed running in the Exodus Ultra 2s. However, when I laced this up for its first run, I was left a little bit deflated because the changes that Saucony had made to the midsole profile, making it wider, the shoe just felt a little bit flat, a little bit slappy, and not as responsive as previous versions. And I just felt like I wasn't getting the same sort of bounce or energy return from this dual compound midsole setup, and it just wasn't as exciting to run in. Since then, I've actually clocked up over 200 miles in them, and I've actually grown to like the Exodus Ultra 3 as they've bedded in. I used them a lot out in Chamonix when we were getting Liga ready for the CCC, and they perform well on those mountain trails. And I also laced them up for my toughest 50k race to date out in Switzerland in the mountains for UTMR 52k, and they did a really good job. The midsole has actually softened up nicely and become more flexible over time, and this upper design seems to work well for me. So I've had 0 foot issues, no hot spots, no blisters over those 200 miles. And that's always seemed to be the case for me with the Exodus model. It just works well for my foot shape. Don't get me wrong, it hasn't performed anywhere near as good as that original Exodus Ultra. I wish it had, but it just hasn't. But you know, it's been pretty consistent on most types of terrain, and it's just a trail running shoe that I know I can trust over any distance. And for that reason, that's why the Exodus Ultra 3 is taking my number 3 spot. Okay, moving on to shoe number 2, and this actually comes from a brand that I have struggled with in the past, and I found some of their shoes have felt very stiff at the midfoot, a bit sort of heavy and clunky to run in. But when I took the La Sportiva Prodigio out for its first run, it was like a breath of fresh air compared to my previous experiences with the brand. It just felt lighter, more nimble, more responsive. The midsole was comfortable underfoot, and they were just good fun to run in. Coming in at under 300 grams in a UK 10, they felt nice and balanced out on the trails, and this X-Flow midsole also felt like it was returning me good levels of energy return, and that's something that's never happened for me in a La Sportiva trail running shoe before. The upper works well for my foot shape, good lockdown around my midfoot, a nice secure hold in the heel. And funnily enough, the guys from La Sportiva UK actually saw my first impressions video. They reached out to the channel and asked if I'd like to give the shoes the ultimate running test by lacing them up on race day for the South Downs 100, a race that the brand sponsors. Now, I'm always up for a good challenge, and the South Downs Way 100 by Centurion has always been a race that I've wanted to take on one day, and I was actually pretty confident that the Prodigio could handle the 100-mile distance well, and it turns out they can, and they can probably handle it a lot better than my body as well. But we managed to cling on to the finish line, and my feet actually felt in good shape at the end, and that is a notoriously tough course when it comes to your feet, and the Prodigio passed with flying colours, and that's why these are taking my number 2 spot this year. Following on from the success of these, La Sportiva are actually going to be launching a max cushioned and a pro version of the Prodigio next year. I've actually seen the pro version at the UTMB Expo. Looks like a really cool trail running shoe, and I'm very excited to test both of those out next year. But rapidly moving on to the shoe that is coming out on top in 2024, and like I've already said, it's been a tough year this year to pick shoes out because they've all performed very similar, and there's not sort of one shoe that stands out head and shoulders above the rest. Again, if someone at the start of the year had told me that a shoe from this brand was going to be taking my top spot in my trail running shoe selection this year, I would have been very, very surprised. But it is coming in at number 1, Innovate's new Trail Fly. Now, right back at the start of the year, I hooked up with Lee from Innovate at the National Running Show at the NEC in Birmingham, and we had a quick chat about all the new exciting changes they were making to their new trail running lineup. For me, it definitely sounded like they were moving in the right direction, and I was excited to test out some of them new models. Come March, I managed to get my hands on a pair of the new Trail Flies, and I laced them up, took them out for their first run, and I was really happy with how they performed. I thought this new anatomical fit worked well, good lockdown around my midfoot, a nice secure hold in the heel, and then all this comfortable wiggle room in this nice wide toe box. And I really like the new upper design. Ran very comfortable, and it's got all the right levels of padding in the right places for me. And this has been an issue in the past with some of the Innovate shoes that I've used, especially on long runs. I've had a bit of irritation and a bit of discomfort, whereas I've had 0 foot issues in the Trail Fly. The combination of the Powerflow Pro foam in the midsole and the brilliant boomerang footbeds have given me a nice comfortable ride while remaining connected, so I felt very stable when I'm running on more technical trails. And I also think the addition of that flexible Metashank rock plate and these flex screws worked into that midsole design keep the Trail Flies super flexible, and that's quite a hard thing to achieve from modern day running shoes, with midsoles getting deeper and more cushioning in them. And this has been one of the standout features for me with the Trail Fly, and it makes the shoe feel nice and responsive and nimble underfoot. Innovate also claimed that they had upgraded the rubber compound on the outsole, and the new graphene rubber was going to give us a lot more grip when running in wet conditions. And this had been an issue in some of the older graphene grip rubber outsoles. I've got to say it, this new blend of rubber is a massive improvement, and the Trail Flies are giving me a good level of grip out there on the rocky trails or the wet rocky trails. I've actually just taken the new Trail Talon from Innovate out on its long run test, and I went on a very notoriously tricky section of coast path that has lots of wet rocks and lots of mud to deal with, and I've got to say it, that new rubber outsole performed extremely well, and I had really good levels of confidence in my footing the whole way around the run. I've got to say it, the Trail Flies are a pretty surprising number 1 pick for me, but they are going to be taking our top spot this year, and I'm actually really looking forward to testing out the max version of these when they're released later in the year. But there you have it, my top 3 trail running shoes of the year. I think it's a pretty unusual top 3, but what do you think? Would you have made those choices, or would you have picked something completely different? Let me know your favourite trail running picks of 2024 in the comments below. Just a couple of honourable mentions. So these are trail shoes that almost made it into our top 3 but didn't quite get there. So really enjoyed my time in Merrell's MTL Long Sky 2 Matrix. A great luggy, grippy, lightweight trail shoe for those shorter, more technical runs. Also the New Balance Hierro V8, a very easy trail shoe to run in, especially on those drier, firmer trails or crossing over to a bit of road. Handles that stuff really well, super comfortable. I've actually done done over 200 miles in them, and you know, it's performed really well. The only thing that lets it down is the lack of grip from the lug on the outsole if you're running in muddier conditions. But you know, it's not really designed for that, but I have enjoyed that shoe. And then last but not least is Hoka's new carbon plated trail racer, the Tecton X3. Really enjoyed my first run in the shoe. Unfortunately, I just haven't been able to get the miles in that shoe before today's video, but I do think it's probably one of the better carbon plated trail shoes I've run in. And on that note, it brings today's video to an end. And like I said, it's been a strange year for me when it comes to trail running shoes. Lots of good shoes, but no standout shoes. So fingers crossed for next year, 2025. And we're already seeing some exciting stuff being released, including Saucony's new Exodus Ultra 4s that actually look like they're going to come with a Vibram rubber outsole. So that's a big move by the Saucony brand. But I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. If you have, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe if you haven't already. Really is a big help to the channel. And you can also follow us on our other social media platforms, whether it be Instagram, Facebook or Strava. But until next time, thanks for watching, it's really appreciated. We'll be back here soon with some more exciting running content. And as always, stay safe and keep on running. I've actually grown to like the Exodus Ultra 3 as they've bedded in. I got lots of use of the... Now this pick might come as a surprise to some of you, because if I'm honest, it became a surprise to me. Saucony's super comfy original Exodus Ultra. So it's definitely harder to